Hey, thank you for joining me for today's video. We're taking a look at another DMCA topic, specifically, do I need a DMCA agent? My name is Rick Chappell. I'm with DMCAagentservice.com, and we provide third-party DMCA agents to website and app owners who wish to comply with the law, but don't want to have their personal information floating around the web. So do I need a DMCA agent? Well, the answer depends on whether you want to go ahead and comply with the DMCA or not. So the DMCA is the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. It was enacted and signed into law in 1998, and it deals with a number of digital copyright issues. Foremost among those is Section 512C, which is known as the Safe Harbor Immunity Provision. And so what this section says is that if you are a website or a app owner, you cannot be held liable for copyright infringement based on content uploaded by your users. So I'll say that again. You cannot be held liable for copyright infringement claims based on content uploaded by your users. So if you have a website or an app where your users can upload anything to your website, well, you're going to want to comply with the DMCA because you get immunity from copyright infringement claims associated with what those people are uploading. And considering you don't have any control over what they're uploading, well, that immunity can be very valuable. So let's look at a real-world example of how this might work. Let's say that you have a website and it's basically a forum, and you have a bunch of people who have joined, and they go on there and they talk about whatever the topic is of the site and debates and what have you. And people being what they are, they'll also copy content from other sites and repost it to the forum. So maybe an image, let's say a cartoon. Okay, well, that cartoon is copyrighted. And so if the person who created it sees it on your site, they're going to be unhappy and they are going to claim copyright infringement. And so under the DMCA, they would then come to your site and they would look for a DMCA agent and they would file a complaint with him. It's called a DMCA takedown notice. And so the agent acts as the face of the site for copyright purposes. And so in a situation, so let's back up and ask a simple question. Can you be liable for copyright infringement for what that person just uploaded to your forum? And the answer is what? No. Under the DMCA, you cannot be held liable. Now, the person who uploaded it, the user of your forum who did it, who took that action, they can be held liable, but not you, the forum owner. And so that's the beauty of the DMCA. You get that immunity. Now, what if you have a situation where you have an online property that is not interactive? So let's say they're pretty rare these days, but say you have a blog and you don't allow comments. So if you go to ESPN, for instance, the comment sections in ESPN were so nasty that they just got rid of them. And so when you read an article, well, that's it. You read an article and you leave the page. There's nothing else to do. You can't leave a comment. You can't do anything. Does ESPN need to comply with the DMCA in that situation? And the answer is pretty much no. Because again, the DMCA, the immunity that's being provided is only for when the copyright infringement claim involves content uploaded by users. And since users can't upload any content to the ESPN site, well, there really isn't any need for the DMCA. So in your case, you're almost assuredly going to be having a website or an app where you aren't going to allow users to comment or do anything like that. And in that situation, you want to comply with the DMCA. Now, the immunity has a catch, and the catch is it's only going to remain in place. You're only going to be protected if you follow a specific compliance process. And as part of that compliance process, you can probably already guess it, you have to designate a DMCA agent. And the agent is designated and listed on your website or your app, whatever it is, as well as in an online public database maintained by the Copyright Office. So who can be your agent? Well, it can be anybody. But the point is you have to have an agent. If you do not have an agent, then you have waived all the immunity under the DMCA. There have been cases on this where sites didn't register their agent with the Copyright Office or just slipped through the cracks, and it just didn't get done. And the courts have terminated the immunity. And that would mean that you would be jointly liable with your users, depending on what your users are doing. And generally, that's usually a bad idea because, again, you have no control over what the users are doing. So if you want to comply with the DMCA to get that immunity, you absolutely need a DMCA agent. Now, who can be the agent? Anybody. There are no limitations on it as far as the DMCA is concerned. Now, there are practical concerns, and that simply has to do with the information that must be listed. So when you go to list the DMCA agent on your website or your app and in the Copyright Office database, you're going to have to list the agent's name, their address, their phone number, and their email address. Okay, so who wants that information floating around the web? If you've just started your website or your app, do you really want your personal information floating around? At a minimum, you need to be concerned about potential identity theft. There's also marketing bots that are going to sweep up your phone number and your email and add you to lists. So you'll get endless sales calls and all kinds of spam email. In a worst case scenario, of course, we could have a Hollywood horror film where, you look out the window one night and there's somebody in a hockey mask with a machete on your lawn. So you have to kind of evaluate that risk and what your comfort level is. Most people do not list themselves as the agent. In this day and age, privacy is a difficult thing to maintain. And so voluntarily throwing all of your information out there often doesn't make sense. So who can you use? You can use third-party services. We're listed there below, DMCAagentservice.com. It's $70 a year, and we act as your agent. So when somebody comes to your website or your app and they look up the agent, they're going to see our information, not yours, and they'll see our information in the Copyright Office database. And so the advantage that you get out of that is you get to protect your privacy, but you still have the immunity that's provided by the DMCA. You can also sometimes use your lawyer. If you have a lawyer on retainer, they will sometimes do it. Sometimes they won't. The reason being is a potential conflict of interest. They don't want to be in a situation where their loyalty in relation to client relations is being questioned. It gets into esoteric issues with lawyers. But those are typically the options that you follow. So if you want to comply with the DMCA so that you can get the advantage of that immunity, then yes, you need a DMCA agent. If you do not need to comply with the DMCA, i.e. you have a website or an app that is not interactive at all, well, then you really don't need an agent because you don't really need to comply with the DMCA. So there we have it. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to post them below. If you felt this information was valuable, please consider giving us a upvote. And if you're interested in learning more about the DMCA, I would encourage you to subscribe to this channel or to visit our homepage here on YouTube. We have quite a few videos already posted on various DMCA topics. So if you still have questions, we may have already answered them there, and you can find the answer quickly and concisely. So anyways, thank you for watching today's video, and have yourself a good one.